Data sharing agreement. We may share your information with third parties to give the best game experience possible. Here we give a high-level outline of the types of companies we send data to and why. Now, I think we've already been through this in their privacy agreement, but I'll go through it again because I can chop this out as its own separate little video, and because it's part and parcel of the page I'm reading. Oh, I might as well start that again. We may share your information with third parties to give the best game experience possible. Here we give a high-level outline of the types of companies we send data to and why. If you link your account to social networks, we send data to these social networks to enable the social activities in the game. For example, so that you can add friends, send and receive gifts, and post on social media. We send data to companies who provide analytic services or research institutes to improve the whole game experience for you. From things like enabling us to tell which levels might be too difficult so we can adjust them, to enforcing our terms of service by preventing hacker activities. We send data to crash reporting service companies to provide technical support and respond to user inquiries. We send data to our own database in order to save your game progress through the levels. We send data to ad networks in order to inform users about new products or promotional offers. We send data to attribution tracking companies so that we can know from where you learnt about the game, i.e. we can tell if you came to the game through one of our advertisements or if you just found it on the store. In games where chat is available, we send data to chat system management companies in order to filter profanities and keep the safe chat and to keep the chat a safe and fun place to be. For detailed information, please read our privacy policy, section 5, sharing of your information, which I have read previously. That does actually bring up something interesting, this last one. Send data to chat system management companies in order to filter profanities and keep the chat a safe and fun place to be. As we've probably all experienced, that would basically be the censorship system. And that is, yeah, that can be a problem. Never mind, there's the temptation to try and see what you can get away with. There's that temptation. If you're talking between adults, there's always the possibility of innuendo. And yes, I know you're not supposed to do it, but, you know, it's tempting. Sometimes it's so tempting to see what you can get away with again. I suppose if you have that feeling, the first thing you should do is say, no, not going to do that. But it can also happen by accident, which is interesting. I remember once I said something like, shall we go to home? Oh, that's innocuous enough, right? Except that I accidentally dropped the M from the word home, so that it was then spelt H-O-E. And I got a warning. Oops. That was unexpected. And I have had other unexpected ones I might go into in a minute. But that one stuck out in my mind because I was not trying, you know, it was an innocent thing. I misspelt home. And you may say, well, how can you misspell home? Oh, for heaven's sake, come on, people. Everybody misspells all kinds of things all the time. It's bad enough with a keyboard. On a touch screen, it's even easier. At least I find it to be. So if you have a temptation to discuss gardening implements with a friend of yours online in Sky, it's probably best you don't want to discuss hoeing your garden, okay? Here's another one that I've run across. I have a friend, or had a friend, I haven't seen them in a while, who is French. Now, my French is fairly poor, but it struck me as being polite to, wherever possible, speak in French. And I got censored on several occasions simply for speaking French. Now, it's important to realize I was speaking French on basically an English system, but I hadn't said anything that should get me censored I'm trying to remember if I had an actual warning from that. I think I did. So that can, yeah, the whole censorship system, yeah, that's a bit, that is an ongoing issue. And I'm not sure there's ever going to be a proper solution to it. Because the only way that I can see that I might I might have avoided a censorship warning would be not to speak French. Oh, and my response is, I'm terribly sorry. I'm being polite to somebody else. Well, apparently the best idea is to use your local language and never try and be helpful to somebody else by speaking their language. Just use the translation system. And every time that I try and be polite in a language that is not my system's language, by which I mean computer system or device language, there's always a little part of me, am I going to get in trouble for this? I mean, there is one person I know who is Vietnamese, and I always say Xin Chào to them. I have been known to look up specifically how to say goodnight to them in Vietnamese, and that's simply to be polite, because this person's English is non-existent. And the translator works fine most of the time, but it is, to me, a nice thing to do. And this person, I should add, who normally writes in Vietnamese, will say English things to me, or to one of my friends. That's called being nice. It's called being accommodating. You know, it's called making an effort. That's certainly part and parcel of the game. But sooner or later, it may decide that what you just said was inappropriate. And all I said was hello in Vietnamese, or good night. What would it say if I used my extremely limited and very bad Malay? It might complain about that. Oh, and I think, by the way, I got tripped up in German as well. It didn't like me using German. On the other hand, one friend of mine, who is currently listening to this video, gets away with saying things that would definitely get me censored. Why? Because I can guess they're in Malaysia. I'm just waiting for them to see if I get a response from them in chat. Oh, maybe my dulcet tones have put them to sleep. It's entirely possible.